Welcome back to the deep dive. Usually when we crack open a fantasy novel, we kind of know the drill. There's a farm boy, there's a prophecy, a shiny sword, and, a dark lord who is just evil for the sake of being evil.
Right.
We know who to root for, and we know that, spoiler alert, good is probably going to triumph over evil.
Yeah, you know the shape of the story before you even start.
Today, we are throwing all of that out the window. We are taking a hard left turn into something much darker, much grittier, and frankly, psychologically terrifying.
We really are.
We are talking about Harts Hope by Orson Scott Card.
It is definitely a departure. I mean, if you go into this expecting the Lord of the Rings, you are going to be profoundly disturbed.
Oh, absolutely.
This isn't high fantasy. It's more like a Greek tragedy written by someone who specializes in body horror.
That's a great way to put it.
It's a story where the hero might be the villain, where magic is visceral and gross, and where the central theme isn't love conquers all, but rather mercy is the cruelest thing of all.
That is the line. That's the one that really stuck with me during the prep work. Mercy is the cruelest thing. It feels so counterintuitive.
It does.
We're trained to think of mercy as the ultimate virtue. Batman doesn't kill the Joker because he's better than him.
Right, it's the moral high ground.
But in this book, the argument seems to be, if you show mercy to a monster, you are responsible for everything that monster does afterward.
Precisely. And in Heart's Hope, that mercy doesn't just result in a villain escaping from jail. It fundamentally breaks the world.
It really does.
We're looking at a setting defined by a very complex tripartite magic system, the heart, the sweet sisters, and God. But the engine driving the plot is purely human dysfunction.
It's all about people.
It's about a usurper king named Palakraval and the monster he inadvertently created, a being known only as beauty.
Before we get to the monsters, though, we have to understand the humans. Let's structure this deep dive by looking at the anatomy of a tyrant first. We have to talk about Palakraval, because he doesn't start out as a bad guy. In his own mind, he's the liberator.
That is the tragedy of it.
Yeah.
Palakraval is the Count of Traffing. The text explicitly describes him as a good man. And in this world, being a good man is a fatal flaw.
It's a weakness.
A huge one. He leads a rebellion against the current king, Nazali, not because he wants power for himself, but because Nazali is objectively, monstrously cruel.
There is a specific anecdote in the source material that really illustrates this cruelty, the lesson of good and evil. I think we need to walk through this because it sets the stakes for why Palakraval felt he had to rebel. It's brutal.
It is visceral. King Nazali is teaching his daughter, Asenath, about the nature of royalty.
And she's just a toddler.
A toddler, barely 3 years old. One day, she wanders off in the castle gardens. Her nursemaids, the women paid to watch her, lose track of her for just a moment. Asenath is fine, she's just playing. But when the soldiers find her and want her back, Nazali decides this is a teaching moment.
And the lesson isn't, Asenath, don't run away.
No, not at all. To teach Asenath that royalty is above consequence, that the king and his line can do no wrong, Nazali has the innocent nursemaid staked out and flogged brutally right in front of the child. He forces her to watch. The lesson is, you are the king's daughter. When you make a mistake, other people bleed.
That is just sickening. It's gaslighting on a kingdom-wide scale. It creates this solipsistic worldview where other humans are just NPCs, non-player characters meant to absorb your damage.
Exactly.
So Palakraval sees this and says, enough. He decides to overthrow Nazali. But this isn't just a political coup. There's a magical component. There's a prophecy.
There is always a prophecy.
Yeah.
A godsman,
Yeah.
essentially a priest of this abstract deity simply called God, comes to Palakraval. He tells him he will win. But more importantly, he names him king.
Okay.
And we need to pause on that word, names.
Yeah, let's dig into that. In a lot of fantasy, naming is just giving a title. Or maybe like in Ursula K. Le Guin's Earthsea, knowing a true name gives you power over a thing. Is it similar here?
It's close to Earthsea, but I'd argue it's more coercive.
How so?
In Earthsea, naming is about understanding the essence of a thing. In Heart's Hope, naming is an act of ontological violence.
Yeah.
It's imposing your will on reality.
Wow.
When the godsman says, I name you king, he isn't predicting the future like a weather forecast. He is constricting the future. He's rewriting the source code of the universe so that Palakraval must become king. It removes free will.
So Palakraval is locked in. The Gotsman adds a catch, though, right?
Right, a very important one. He says Palakraval will not be safe until King Nazali and Asenath are both dead.
Safe. That's the key word.
The prophecy guarantees victory, but safety requires total elimination of the old line. So Pelikraval wins the war. He lays siege to the capital, Harts Hope. And this siege is interesting because it pits two types of magic against each other.
Right.
You have Asenath, the king's daughter, trying to use women's magic, burning the blood of the moon to save the city.
And then you have Pelikraval's wizard, Sleeve, using men's magic.
Exactly. And Sleeves. Well, we need to talk about him.
Sleeve. He's an albino, pink-eyed wizard.
Right.
And he just breaks the gates.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
Sleeve represents raw, destructive power. He shatters the defenses. Pelikraval enters the city and confronts King Nasali, and this is where that good man complex starts to backfire on him.
In what way?
Pelikraval wants the aesthetic of justice. He wants a duel. He wants to defeat the tyrant in single combat so he can feel like a hero.
But Nasali doesn't play along.
No. Nasali knows he's lost, so he refuses to draw his sword. He just stands there with dignity. He forces Pelikraval to stab an unarmed man.
So Nasali dies with dignity, and Pelikraval is denied his clean, heroic moment.
Exactly. He has the dirtiest hands. It's the first crack in his self-image. He realizes that being a king involves butchery, not just dueling.
But the real breaking point, the moment the entire plot hinges on is what happens with the daughter, Asenath. She's only 12 years old.
Yeah.
She's standing over her father's body, and she defies him.
She declares herself queen. Now, legally and politically, Pelikraval has a massive problem. He occupies the throne room, but he is a usurper. Asenath is the blood royal. The people might not accept him if the legitimate heir is standing right there screaming at him.
So he comes up with a solution that is, well, it's horrific.
It is.
He decides to marry her, but not in a let's sign a treaty kind of way.
No, it is an act of pure domination. To prove he has conquered the kingdom, and remember, in the symbolic language of this world, the body of the queen is the land. He marries her immediately, publicly.
On the steps of Faces Hall, on the back of a statue of the Heart.
It is a public rape disguised as a coronation ceremony. It's horrifying.
It's absolutely stomach-churning. And yet, after doing this, after this monstrous act, Pelikraval thinks he is showing mercy.
That is his delusion. His general, Zymas, tells him to kill her. His wizard, Sleeve, tells him to kill her. Sleeve specifically warns him, women take vengeances men cannot understand.
But Pelikraval just looks at this broken, violated 12-year-old girl and thinks, what?
He thinks, I am not a butcher like Nasali. I won't kill a child. I will let her live.
He thinks sparing her life balances out the violation. That's insane logic.
It's the logic of vanity. He wants to be able to look in the mirror and say, I am a merciful king. But Asenath learns a very different lesson that day.
Right.
She learns that Pelikraval is weak. If he were truly strong, he would have killed her to secure his throne. By leaving her alive, he's given her a weapon. Her own existence.
And she vows to teach him
that mercy is the cruelest thing because it leaves the victim alive to hate.
So he exiles her. He sends her to the coast, thinking she'll just fade away. But she's pregnant with his child, and she's plotting. This brings us to the second chapter of our analysis, the birth of beauty and the body horror.
This section is where the book really veers into Cronenberg territory. Asenath is exiled under the guard of Sleeve, the wizard. She is pregnant, but it's a 10-month child.
Okay, stop there. 10-month child. I assume this isn't just a miscalculation of the due date.
No. In this kind of folklore, a 10-month pregnancy is a signal of supernatural horror. 9 months is human. 10 months implies the fetus is feeding on something else, magic, the mother's essence, the fabric of reality. It's a biological abomination.
And Sleeve, the great wizard, he doesn't notice this.
Sleeve is blinded by his own arrogance. He's a misogynist in a patriarchal magical system. He has his spellbooks lying around, but he assumes Asenath can't read them. Or even if she could, she couldn't possibly understand the high magic of men.
He dismisses her completely.
He completely ignores the women's magic, the blood magic of the Sweet Sisters, because he thinks it's just hedge witchcraft. So while he's out fishing or napping, Asenath is reading his books. She is synthesizing the two magics.
And then comes the transformation. The source material is a little vague, but it implies a sacrifice.
It's very heavily implied she sacrifices the child or uses the immense metaphysical energy of that unnatural birth to fuel a spell of total reconstruction.
She destroys Asenath.
She sheds her old identity, her old body, her old trauma. She rebuilds herself into a being of flawlessness. She names herself Beauty.
Beauty. It sounds nice, but in this context, it feels like a weapon. Like she's becoming an avatar of vengeance.
Exactly. She isn't just pretty. She is aesthetically perfect in a way that breaks the human mind. She becomes a godlike entity. And her first act is to deal with her jailer, Sleeve.
Sleeve tries to fight back, right? He realizes what's happening.
He tries. He realizes too late what she is. He tries to use blood magic. He bites his own hand to fuel a spell, but Beauty just laughs at him.
Why doesn't it work?
She's already bound the powers he relies on. She claims to have chained the heart and silenced the gods. She defeats him not by killing him, but by stripping him.
She turns him into Urubugala.
Urubugala. She transforms this brilliant albino wizard into a grotesque, squat, rhyming dwarf. And the rhyming is the cruelest part.
Why the rhyming?
Because Sleeve trided himself on his intellect, his words, his naming. By forcing him to speak in doggerel verse vulgar, simple rhymes, she is mocking his mind. She is turning his greatest asset into a joke. He is forced to be her fool.
So she has her pet wizard. Now she heads back to the capital, Inwit, to crash a wedding. Because Polycraval, the good king, has decided to move on. He's marrying the flower princess.
Princess Enzyklvinescency. Let's just call her the flower princess.
Yeah, let's do that.
Her defining trait is that she is incapable of lying. She is pure, transparent truth. Polycraval loves her because she is the antidote to his guilt. She represents a fresh start.
But Beauty walks into the wedding hall, dragging Urubugala on a chain, and the interaction here is fascinating. She asks the flower princess a question.
She asks, "Am I not beautiful?" Now, anyone with a survival instinct would say, "Yes, absolutely, you're gorgeous."
Right, lie through your teeth.
But the flower princess cannot lie. She looks at this goddess of vengeance and says, "No, you are filled with hate."
I mean, points for honesty, but terrible tactical awareness.
It seals her fate. Beauty says, "You just need the right teacher." And then in front of the entire court, Beauty performs a body swap. She literally steals the flower princess's physical form.
This is a level of psychological warfare I've rarely seen in fiction. She doesn't just kill her rival, she takes the body of the woman Polycraval loves.
Yes. Beauty now looks like the flower princess. And she shoves the princess's pure, honest soul into Beauty's discarded lesser body. She renames the princess Weasel.
So now you have the woman Polycraval loves, trapped in a body he doesn't recognize, and the monster he fears wearing the face of his beloved.
It's pure torment.
And Polycraval.
Yeah.
He just accepts this. He goes through with the marriage.
He is powerless to stop it. Beauty forces him to consummate the marriage with her, in the body of the flower princess, while the real Princess Weasel watches from the floor.
Oh, that's just...
It proves that Polycraval is a slave to his lust in his eyes. He knows it's a lie, but he wants the beautiful body. It destroys his self-respect completely.
And she also deals with Zymus, the general.
Zymus tries to charge her. She simply ages him, instantly. He turns from a warrior in his prime to a senile, terrified old man.
And she renames him.
She names him Craven, so she has her collection. Urubugala the fool, Weasel the victim, and Craven the coward.
And finally, Polycraval himself. She doesn't kill him.
Of course not.
Because, again, mercy is cruel. She exiles him from his own city.
This is the status quo for the next 300 years. Polycraval is technically king of Berlin. He rules the countryside. But he can never enter the capital, Inwit. And she gives him the curse of the golden eyes.
Explain how this works, because it's deeply disturbing.
She links her vision to his. She can see through his eyes. And he can see what she sees.
Oh, no.
So imagine you are Polycraval. You are riding through the forest. Suddenly your vision splits. You see the trees in front of you, but you also see through Beauty's eyes back in the palace. You see her torturing Weasel. You see her mocking Craven. You see her looking in a mirror.
So he has no privacy, and he has to watch his friends suffer constantly.
Exactly. To stop this, Polycraval wears golden cups-like goggles over his eyes. He blinds himself voluntarily.
If he can't see, she can't see through him.
And if he blocks his eyes, he doesn't have to watch the torture. He becomes the man with the golden eyes, a blind king ruling a land he can't look at.
And there are physical torments too, right? Like she keeps him on a leash.
A very short one. If he is ever alone, she sends hallucinations. He cannot sleep without guards holding his hand. If he tries to act dignified, she inflicts a maddening itch or makes his bowels loose. She systematically strips away his dignity every single day for 3 centuries. She keeps him alive just to humiliate him.
Okay, that is a grim state of affairs. We have a stalemate. Beauty rules the city with absolute magical power. Polycraval rules the country, a blind, miserable wreck. This brings us to our third section, the physiology of magic. We've mentioned the heart, the sisters, and God. We need to explain how this system actually functions because it's not just mana points.
No, it's a triad, a kind of rock, paper, scissors of metaphysical power. First, you have the heart, This is the ancient power. It represents nature, wildness, the forest, and specifically male virility.
Okay.
The phrase, "the heart's blood stains the world," suggests it's the life force of the physical land itself.
Then the Sweet Sisters.
This is women's magic. It's tied to blood, birth, the moon, and cycles. It's biological. It's often dismissed by the men in power as hedge magic. But as we saw with beauty's creation, it's incredibly potent when unleashed.
And God.
God is the outlier. This seems to be a newer concept, perhaps introduced by Pellecrevol's culture. It represents naming, order, law, abstraction. It's the magic of the mind and the word. It's patriarchal and rigid.
So you have these three competing forces, and Beauty's claim is that she has conquered all of them.
That's her boast. She says she has chained the great heart at the root of the world. She has trapped the Sweet Sisters, who are actual entities in physical bodies, and she has silenced God. She represents the chaos that ensues when one person hoards all the power without any of the checks and balances.
But, as the title Heart's Hope suggests, she missed something. 300 years later, the heart makes a move.
The heart is subtle. It plays the long game. Pellecrevol is out in the woods, blind, miserable. And the heart appears to him. It leads him to a river. And waiting at the river is a woman named Molly.
Molly seems like the complete antithesis of beauty.
Absolutely.
Beauty is artificial perfection. Molly is dirt and reality.
Molly is a farmer's wife. She calls herself Bloom in her private thoughts. She is deeply connected to the earth and the Sweet Sisters' magic. She isn't royalty. She's fertility personified.
So the heart plays matchmaker. It brings the exiled king and the farm wife together.
And they conceive a child. Orem. This is the hero's anti-journey segment of our discussion.
Yes.
Orem is crucial not because he's a chosen one in the Harry Potter sense, but because he's a convergence.
A convergence of what?
He has the blood of the king, which is the god magic, the blood of the mother, the sister's magic, and he was brought together by the heart. He is the Venn diagram of every power beauty thinks she controls.
But his childhood isn't a training montage. He grows up on a farm and he's weird.
He is. There are signs. His father, the former Evanap, initially thinks he's a changeling because he looks different.
Yeah.
Darker, more intense.
And his mother.
His mother, Molly, is actually afraid of him because her little household spells don't work when he's around. He acts like a dampener field for magic.
And he sees things.
He has the sight. He sees the great heart watching his mother bathe. He sees the magical currents that others miss. So the family does what families in fairy tales often do with the weird kid. They send him away.
They send him to the House of God in Banningside.
This is the boarding school phase, but again, much grimier.
It's a religious school.
And Orem flourishes intellectually. He learns to read and write at an impossible speed. He finds hidden meanings in the texts. Letters capital, letters corporal. He realizes that the priests are just repeating words, but he understands the power behind the words.
But socially, it's Lord of the Flies. He's bullied relentlessly.
He is. But this teaches him something valuable. Ruthlessness. He learns to organize the weak kids against the strong. He learns that survival isn't about being nice, it's about leverage.
There's one scene here that we really need to linger on. The miracle of the haystack. This is the moment Orem goes from smart kid to divinely protected.
It's a terrifying sequence. The bullies, led by a boy named Cressum, decide they've had enough of Orem. They catch him and bury him deep inside a massive haystack.
And then they set it on fire.
Yes.
Just imagine that for a second. You're trapped in straw. It's scratching you. You can't breathe. And then you hear the crackle. You smell the smoke. The heat starts to rise. It's claustrophobic hell.
The sensory details in the book are so intense here. Orem tries to dig up, but the heat drives him down. He's choking. He's burrowing deeper into the center of the stack, trying to escape the flames. He thinks he's going to die. And then his hand hits mud.
Mud. Inside a dry haystack.
Wet, cold mud. He digs frantically, and suddenly he breaks through into a pool of water. Cool, clear water.
That shouldn't be there.
The source text notes that this area had been drained a century ago. There should not be water there. But the land itself, the Harts domain, opened up a pocket just for him.
So while the haystack turns into an inferno above him, he's submerged, holding his breath in this miraculous pool.
Precisely. When the fire burns out and the priests dig through the ashes, they expect to find a charred corpse. Instead, they find Orem, wet and alive.
It changes everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
The priests realize God loves this boy, or at least something loves this boy.
So he's marked, but he can't stay hidden. Pellecrevol, his biological father, comes riding through town.
Right.
And this is a chilling reunion.
Pellecrevol rides in with his army. He's wearing the golden cups, so he's blind. But he stops his horse. He points a finger directly at Orem in the crowd and screams, "Mine!"
That is some serious Darth Vader energy right there.
It panics Orem's mentor, the priest Dobik. Dobik knows that if the king wants the boy, it's to use him as a weapon against beauty.
So Dobik helps him escape.
Through a sewer pipe. And he gives him one piece of advice. Go anywhere but Inwit.
And Orem, being a teenager with a destiny, hears that and thinks,
I'm going to Inwit.
Exactly.
It's not just teenage rebellion, it's ambition. Orem wants a poem. In this culture, your status is defined by whether people sing songs about you.
Right.
He thinks, if I go to the safe places, I'll be a nobody. If I go to the city of monsters, I might die, but I might earn a name. So he heads directly into the mouth of the beast.
This brings us to Section 6, the descent into Inwit. Orem hitches a ride with a grocer named Glasson.
Yes!
And this journey serves as our introduction to the class system of the city.
Glasson is a great character because he represents the common man's view of this horror show. He explains the gates. Inwit is a city of strict hierarchy.
There are different gates for different people.
You have the Queen's Gate for royalty, God's Gate for pilgrims, Swine Gate for merchants, and for someone like Orem, poor, ragged, unknown, there's only Piss Gate.
Piss Gate. Subtlety is not this city's strong suit.
It sets the tone perfectly. Orem enters through a gate that literally reeks of waste. He is humiliated immediately. The guards brand a cut on his cheek to mark him.
And he gets a pass.
He has a 3-day pass. If he doesn't find a patron or work in 3 days, he becomes a slave or is thrown out.
And he's welcomed to the city by getting robbed.
Naturally. He gets into a scrap with a street urchin named Fleabuzz. But Orem fights back. He earns Flea's respect, and Flea becomes his guide.
And Flea takes him to see the reality of life in Inwit.
He takes him to the snake pit.
This scene, we compared the school to Lord of the Flies, but this is on another level. This is the cheapness of life distilled into a game.
It's horrifying. The street boys catch Keener's venomous snakes in the swamp. They throw rats into a pit and bet on which snake will kill the most. But the currency they bet with is their own safety.
Wait, explain that. They aren't betting money.
They don't have money. They bet forfeits. If you lose the bet, the penalty might be that you have to jump into the pit.
That is insane.
Orem watches this happen. A boy loses a bet. The other boys pick him up and throw him into the pit of vipers. And he is bitten to death when the others cheer or watch with detached fascination.
Why does the author include this? It's so unbelievably bleak.
It shows us the trickle-down economics of beauty's cruelty. Pelicraval's mercy created a tyrant. That tyrant created a culture where empathy is dead. Even the children have learned that life is worthless and violence is entertainment.
It strips away Orem's country innocence before he even meets a single adult in the city.
Exactly.
He realizes that to survive, he needs to understand power. And Flea tells him that in Inwit, power flows to one place, Horse Street.
It's a jarring transition. They leave the mud and blood of the snake pit and go to the red light district. It's wealthy, it's clean, it's lined with trees. It's the illusion of civilization.
Orem spends his last few coppers to enter a high-end brothel.
Right.
But he doesn't go there for sex, really. Or at least he can't go through with it because of what he sees in the hallway, the twins of the flesh.
This brings us to the final piece of the puzzle. The fate of the Sweet Sisters. Orem sees 2 women. They were clearly once conjoined twins, joined at the face. They have been separated by magic.
And the description is pure body horror.
One sister has a single eye and half a mouth. The other has a blank face, no eyes, no nose, just a hole that drools constant slime. They are grotesque.
And yet they are the most expensive courtesans in the city. Why?
Because they are the vessels of the gods. Beauty has taken the Sweet Sisters, the goddesses of life and birth, and trapped them in these broken, debased bodies. She has turned the divine into a prostitute. It is the ultimate blasphemy.
But Orem, he talks to them. He goes into their room.
He enters their room, and despite their degradation, despite the fact that they are barely coherent, they recognize him. They know he is the son of the heart. They speak through him. They tell him they could hear the sap rousing and the heart tossing the planets.
And then the revelation, the final twist.
For a fleeting moment, the blank-faced sister drops the disguise. Orem sees past the damaged flesh. He sees the goddess in her true, form-blinding, terrifyingly beautiful light. It proves that beauty hasn't killed the gods, she's just imprisoned them. They're still there, waiting for a key.
And Orem is that key.
He is.
So let's recap where we leave our protagonist. Orem is in the heart of the enemy city. He is a virgin, a scholar, the son of the exiled king, and the chosen vessel of the heart. But right now, he's just a pauper with a cut on his cheek and a 3-day pass that is ticking down.
It's a very precarious position. But think about the thematic knot here.
Yeah.
We started with Palakroval trying to be a good man and failing because he misunderstood the nature of power.
Right.
Now we have Orem. He isn't a warrior like Zymus. He isn't a tyrant like Beauty. He is a namer. He sees the truth like the water in the haystack, or the goddess inside the monster.
So the battle ahead isn't going to be fought with swords.
No, it's going to be fought with perception. Beauty rules by imposing her will, her names, on reality. She names the princess Weasel, and so she is.
No.
Orem has the power to see things as they truly are. He might be the only person who can look at Weasel and name her princess again. His weapon is the truth.
It sets up an incredible conflict. Not a war of armies, but a war of reality itself.
Exactly. And I want to leave you with one final image from the book, the cistern. Orem and Flea are sitting by a dry well in the city, and Orem hears voices singing from the deep.
What are they?
Flea says it's just rats or wind. But Orem knows better. It suggests that underneath the cruelty of Inwit, underneath the pavement and the blood, the ancient world is still singing. It's waiting to be heard.
And Orem is the only one listening.
He is the only one who can listen.
Wow. Heart's Hope is a heavy read. It's not for the faint of heart. It challenges you to look at the consequences of your moral choices. It asks, is mercy truly good if it leads to greater suffering? Or is it just a way to make ourselves feel superior?
And it reminds us that true power isn't about breaking gates or chopping off heads. It's about naming the world. It's about defining what is true.
A terrifying and fascinating lesson. Thank you for walking us through the nightmare that is Inwit.
My pleasure. Just maybe don't read this one right before bed.
Good advice. Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive. We'll see you next time.